Greeting everyone. I am Nishant Sharma. I am the host of Intensive Success Growth. Today we have a guest. Name is Shawn, and he is the business owner of Just Launch. Hi, Shawn. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good too. And where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Oh, wow. Well, that's an interesting journey. So I got into sales at 19 years old and really struggled with learning sales and becoming proficient at sales. To be honest, I sucked. And I spent 8 years doing real estate and car sales and door-to-door sales and just couldn't really find how to do it well. And finally, I got into technology sales, and everything I'd kind of learned just kind of clicked. And so it really kind of exploded. I started acquiring these customers really rapidly. I was, closing these large deals. I was landing these big accounts, and I just got really good at sales. And it was really, I think, that 8 years of struggling and all those lessons kind of, combined finally, and things fell into place for me. And then I was asked, because of my success, to start leading sales teams. And so then I spent another 8 years working with brand new salespeople, helping them become really good at sales. And as a result of that, then I was asked to help build out a sales training program, start helping other sales leaders become good at coaching and training their teams. And that's really how I got into this concept of this position where I work with business owners and sales leaders and salespeople to help them, launch towards their success. But it was a long journey, and it wasn't one that I really planned out. I just really fell in love with helping other people find the success that I'd found, and hopefully shorten that journey so they didn't have to spend 8 years to get there.
You have a very big journey. You got a lot of failure in your life, and now you are in a good position. Yes.
Yeah, lot of lessons along the way, for sure.
Well, what are the top three reasons why do people fail in business?
Well, I think the number one reason is they quit. Um, you know, I would say, and I do say that, I struggled in sales and I had a lot of failures in sales. But looking back, what you realize is those are just lessons. And there's so many different components to finding success that most of us don't realize it's a journey. We think there's success overnight. We hope there's success overnight. We want that success right away. And in some cases, we may be naturally gifted or good at things that make us believe that everything should be that way. But reality is anything that we build, anything we get really good at, it takes time. And we have to struggle to learn the lessons that we need to grow. And if you'd ever struggle, then you don't really figure out how to handle those challenges when they do present themselves. So to me, the only way you can really fail in business is to give up. Everything else is just lessons that you need to learn along the way. And as long as you keep paying attention to what those lessons are, surrounding yourself with people who can help you, and working to grow, then it's only a matter of time before you start to see that success and start to grow and build.
What is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
So, I mean, there's, like I said, there's been lots of lessons. I think for me, one of the hardest recent times was at the start of the pandemic. I had risen up very well in the corporate world. Had just launched as a podcast and kind of a side project for myself. And so I had the foundations there. But as a result of the pandemic, I found myself unemployed. And so I had to say, okay, what are my options here? And for me, it was, take this thing that I'm passionate about, take this thing that I've kind of just been playing with, and really invest myself into it full time. But it was a mindset shift to go from having security of a paycheck, being in the corporate world, being employed and rising up through the ranks, to all of a sudden being told, you know what, we have to let you go because, we don't have the world shutting down. And to not take that personally and then say, okay, that's not personal. Let's invest in this and let's believe in ourselves. That took a lot of growth. And it was a challenge, and still is a challenge. Every single day I'm learning what it takes to be successful as a business owner versus someone who works for someone else.
What are your top 3 success secret that other can model from you?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to learn. You have to learn out there. And I think there's lessons that you can learn from people who aren't successful. Right? You can see how other people have struggled, or what mistakes they've made, and learn from those. And then you also need to learn from the people that are doing well. And I think you have to understand the difference in, what lessons am I learning from this individual? What lessons am I learning from this individual? And then how do I apply those lessons to my business, my situation, and my scenario? But all of those pieces have to be there. So I think the first thing is you just have to be a student. You have to be someone who wants to learn. The second piece is you've got to expect struggle. You got to expect that you are going to make mistakes. You have to know that you're going to make bad decisions. You're going to invest money in areas that don't make a return on it. You're going to have ideas that, sound really great until you try to implement them, and then they fall short. So you have to expect that you're going to run across challenges and struggles and make mistakes and fall down. And I think that the third piece goes back to just, then you got to pick yourself up and you got to say, what did I learn from this? What lessons can I get? Who can I learn those lessons from if I don't have the knowledge or the skills to apply to the situation? And then keep going. You have to keep going if you're going to find success.
What motivates you within?
Several components. I would say one of the big ones is my family. I want to be able to provide a life that I didn't have necessarily as a child. My parents are amazing. They're great people. But we didn't come from a lot. And so financially, there was tough times from my childhood, and I want to be able to provide for my family in a different sense than my parents did for me. That said, I think really what drives me is pushing myself beyond what I'm capable at today. I want to see what I can become. I want to see how good of a business person I can become. I want to see how good of a salesperson I can become. And so having that drive just internally to see where I can take myself in 6 months or 6 years really keeps me going when, sometimes things don't feel like they're making the progress I want them to.
So what is your company motto?
Well, it really comes down to is we help people find success. Okay? We have a podcast, just launched is a podcast that's out there. It's available. I think have listeners in 33 countries at this point. That's really about motivation and personal development and growth. And that's really where we started, was just helping people find personal success. As the business has changed, we help those small business owners find the success for their sales teams and their salespeople and ultimately their companies. So really for us, it's about helping people find success. And to me, that's what I'm passionate about, is watching people grow and develop and learn new skills that allow them to make, different choices and live different lives.
How do you find your ideal client?
Lots of ways. I get a lot of clients that reach out to me from podcasts like this.
Okay.
I do a lot of speaking engagements. So, as a result of that, clients will often approach me. And because I'm involved in a lot of organizations and, I think that we do a really great job for our clients, I get a lot of referrals from, my network. So those clients usually are reaching out to me. We do some social media, we do some other aspects, but really it's through engagement at a more personal level.
Why someone should buy from you?
Well, one of the things I think that a lot of business owners that we work with have found is, in business, especially as a business owner, you wear lots of hats and you're not necessarily good at all of them. And a lot of business owners don't have a sales background. Very few have a sales training background. And so, a lot of times they've hired a salesperson and found that that salesperson didn't work out for numerous reasons.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that expense of hiring that salesperson cost them, 40 or 80 or, $100,000 plus for something that didn't work out.
Yes.
And what we can do is we can help them come in and avoid throwing that money away. And, by having an expert to help find the right person, create the right job description and identify the right actions that person needs to take, helping to train that person, helping to coach that person, and really creating that structure so that person's set up for success, so that when they need a second salesperson or a fifth salesperson, they have that foundation that they can then build upon.
How do you crush your competition?
It's interesting because I don't know that I've ran across a lot of companies that do what we do. There's obviously a lot of sales training companies out there. There's leadership coaching companies out there. So there's different aspects of what we do, but we really offer that full service from, hey, what type of person do we hire and how do we find that person, through here's the CRM system you should use, here's the playbooks that we can, build for your company, and let's get this person up for success. So not too many companies do that full gamut of what we do. So honestly, when we're working with our customers, we're not usually competing. It's usually they're at a point where they need someone like us because they've tried bits and pieces of what we do, and we offer the full package.
Okay. How do you deliver 5-star client experience?
Well, I think that comes down to, which I think is a key component of sales, is understanding where the client's at and where they want to get to, and understanding, where are the areas of opportunity for them? What are the challenges maybe that are going to be from, getting from A to Z? But you really have to understand where they're at today. And to me, that's the biggest piece, is if I don't know where you're starting your journey, how can I help you get to that end spot? And every customer is different in where they're at today. So if we really take the time to understand where you're at and where you're trying to go, then we can build a program and a plan to help get you there. And so I think having that customized approach to listening, communicating, and understanding from both ends, right? The customer, understanding the customer, communicating, our expectations and our process. But it comes down to really the key component is you've got to communicate with the people you work with, internally, externally. And if you have that solid communication, then odds are you'll be able to deliver to meet everyone's expectations.
So how do you convert your client into your brand ambassador?
Can you repeat that question?
How do you convert your client into your brand ambassador?
I don't know if I've really thought through that process, right? To be perfectly honest with you.
Okay, no issue. What are you grateful for today?
Oh, geez. Well, that list is long. One of the things that I try and practice every single morning is waking up and thinking through what I'm grateful for. So usually at the top of that list is something to do with my wife. She's an incredible person, incredible individual, and she easily gives me something to be grateful for every single morning. The next, really, I try and think about something that I'm grateful about from my family perspective, my children, and whether that's something they did the day before, whether that's something I know that just a personality trait that they have. What I look for every morning, when it comes to my kids, what am I grateful for about that? And then every single day I look for, what am I grateful for about my business, right? One of the things this morning that popped up was I'm grateful for these opportunities to share and speak with different individuals all over the world. So one of the things on my list today was you, right? I'm grateful for this opportunity to get to know somebody, right? Especially in a different part of the world. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my experiences and my knowledge and hopefully pass along some value to other people and your listeners. So those are all types of things that I think about every single morning of what am I grateful for? Right? My health, my opportunities, my company, my family, my wife, my partners. These are all things I truly am and truly grateful for. And I spend some time every morning thinking through those and making sure that I'm, mentally crossing those off my list.
How do you start your day?
Well, I mentioned it. One of the first things is going through the things I'm grateful for, right?
Okay.
Whether that's 4 or 5 things or a list of 10 things, I spend some time every morning going through that list. I try to get in my daily exercise routine. So this morning, one of the things I did after I got through my being grateful is went to the gym and got in some exercise. For me, that helps me really, feel like I've accomplished something for the day and gets me kind of, juiced up and fired up to go. And I'm usually listening to music that inspires me, or this morning I listened to a podcast. So I listen to a lot of podcasts that I think, help motivate me and get me going while I'm doing that physical activity. So those are really things, but even simple things I've found that help me find success, making my bed every morning. Just having that structure, building that routine helps me feel accomplished and start off my day on the right foot.
Okay. So how young are you?
How young am I?
Yes.
I'm in my mid 40s.
Okay, mid
So I
40.
don't know if I'm young anymore, but
So uh, you are 45-year young, am I right?
yep.
Okay.
Yes.
You are not 45-year young. You are 18-year young with 27-year experience.
I like that.
Thank you. So what is your plan to achieve your goal?
So I think right now, one of the things that we're really heavily investing in is continuing to build our network and continuing to build our personal brand and personal knowledge. So those are really the 3 things that we're focused on as a company right now, and as as an individual, is surrounding ourselves with the right people, the right clients, the right network, and which hopefully will lead to the right opportunities. But I believe that who you surround yourself with is a big aspect of growth and personal development and success. Which leads to number 2 is continuing to learn what we don't know. We're always looking for ways to improve, get to that next level, and that means we have to admit where we're not strong, and then find ways to get strong. And whether that's through partnerships, whether that's through learning, but the growth comes from saying, hey, this is something I suck at. How do I get better? And that 3rd component is just again, we got to keep going, we got to keep pushing, and we have to keep surrounding ourselves with the right people.
So it means your network is your net worth.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in that the people you surround yourself with, especially from a business perspective, well, personal and business, they really determine where you end up in life.
Great. How will you feel in case you don't achieve your goal?
Again, I've spent a lot of time, especially early in my career, where I wasn't where I wanted to be. And, it's challenging. It's difficult when you feel like you're putting in the work and you're putting in the effort, you're, trying to learn the lessons, and you're still not seeing the success that you want. And I think all of us, most of us anyway, even if we're normally confident people, can feel beat up, beat down, and start to question ourselves when we're not seeing that success. And so for me, it's really going back to understanding that, it's a journey, and that journey isn't necessarily on my timeline. It's not, I can say I want to accomplish this in the next 6 months or the next 2 years, but I don't necessarily know what I don't know, especially when I start a journey. And so I have to be open to the fact that it may happen faster than I want, but it may take longer. And I think, again, that's where it comes down to. As long as you don't quit, then you can really make sure that you're pushing forward. And I think the more that we embrace the journey, the more happy we'll be overall. If we're only ever happy when we get to that level of success that we think we are, I mean, first off, what you're going to find is when you get to that level, there's another level that you can achieve. And, if we're not happy with the process in itself, well, then that may be a long road between A and Z, and that's a long time to not be happy. So I think, it's being happy with where you're at today, being grateful for the things that you have and the path that you're on, and just, keep pushing so that you can get to that level, but embrace the journey itself.
So you believe in process, not outcome.
Well, I do believe in outcome, because that's how you measure where you're at.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that the process is important. Right?
Yeah,
The process is how we get the outcome.
yeah,
And, especially from a sales perspective, I've seen people who, they do a lot of the right things, but they don't get the outcome.
yeah.
Well, then are we really doing the right things, right? So we have to use the process to determine, or the outcome to determine, whether our process is correct.
Yeah.
And so I think both components are equally important. If you're not getting the outcome you want,
Yeah, definitely.
where are we at in the process? But you're not going to usually get the outcome that you want unless you have a process. So they are very closely aligned.
Yes, right. So once you have revenue generating idea, how will you convince your significant others?
Well, I think that's comes down to that communication. I think from a partnership perspective, there has to be some trust. There are definitely choices we've made as a company, choices I've made as a business owner, choices I've made as a spouse and a partner in relationships that haven't turned out the way I thought they would, or I persuaded my partners to believe that they would. And so I think that you have to have, as long as your intentions are in the right spot, that you can have that level of trust. I think you have to be able to recognize that, there are going to be things that you implement that don't work out. But again, it's walking through and being open. I have a tendency to believe that I'm right most of the time. But a part of that comes from doing a lot of research, a lot of knowledge gathering before I make a decision. And so even when I have an idea, I put in a lot of time and effort to understanding, what are the challenges that are going to have and what are the potential things we need to do to make this successful. And so when I do present those ideas to, the people in my life, they're usually well thought out. And so they can see that I've done the effort, the research, and gathered as much knowledge as I can and presented that. Then I just have to be open to the things that maybe I missed that they may have, that they can come back and say, well, what about this? And what about this? And so we can walk through those. But it comes down to communication and, doing your homework. You in business, especially if you're going to make a change, if you're going to implement an idea, there are probably somebody else that's done it before you. And so learn that lesson, learn what challenges they face, what things they did correctly, and hopefully try and implement that into your business so that you don't make those same mistakes and you have a higher level of success.
So who is your living mentor? What is the impact?
Yeah. So I would say right now, I am in the process of finding some new mentors to work with. There's a couple reasons for that. One is we go through different levels. And so the mentors I've had in the past aren't necessarily going to help me get to that level I'm looking to achieve next. Geographically, we're new to the Dallas area. So I've got some opportunities to build new relationships and a new network here. And so I'm looking for that local connections as well to help me take that next step in my journey. So, I think having a mentor and a partner is extremely valid. I also think we have to recognize that, as you continue to up-level your success, you've got to continue to find new mentors to work with.
So what is your favorite book and what did you learn from it?
So I think my favorite book, and I've read a ton. I'm an avid reader. I believe, and I just enjoy reading. But I think still one of my favorites is a book that I read for the first time when I was 16 years old. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And if I'm being honest, when I first read it, I was hoping I'd be, I'd get more out of it than I did. Really, when you read the book, what you figure out is about being a good person. And I think that has helped me in a lot of aspects of my life. The title's, I think, a little bit, maybe misleading because you think it's going to be like this, all these tricks and techniques to, get people to do what you want them to do. And that's not really what the book's about. It's about being a good person, understanding what drives other people, helping them achieve what they want, and ultimately they'll want to return that favor for you. So that's a book I've read probably about a dozen times. I've owned 4 or 5 different copies. They're marked up. They've got the highlights, the circles in them. But for me, it's about learning how to be the best I can be when I'm dealing with other people. And that's a big component of what I've done from a career perspective. And I think those lessons have translated into my personal life as well.
So what do you want to remember for?
Someone that helps others. At the end of the day, I want people to say this person had an impact on my life, whether that was professionally, from a business perspective, or on a personal level. And one of the things that kept me in sales leadership, sales training, has really been a focus for me is if people become good at sales, then that usually has 2 impacts on them. First is if you're good at sales, you can pretty much always find a job. So you're never going to go hungry. You're never going to be without employment for very long because companies are always looking for good salespeople. Yes. But 2, since the foundation of sales is being good at communication, that usually trickles over into other aspects of their lives, right? It helps build the relationships that they have with their significant others. It helps them become better communicators with their kids. So they start to grow on a personal level as well. And that's really what I'm passionate about, is helping people just become better communicators, better people. And, that helps them from multiple aspects. So that's really what I want to be known for.
Okay, good. So what would you like to say as a guest experience?
Well, I think first off, you've asked some great questions. I'm thankful for the opportunity. In fact, this has probably been one of the best question sets that I've worked with as a guest on a podcast. So I think that's an amazing aspect, and I appreciate you having listened to the show. I think you're doing a great job.
Okay, thank you. So, how can we support you?
Well, I mean, I think you've already done all that I would ask is, you've presented me the opportunity to be part of your show and reach part of your audience. And I appreciate that. Honestly, from my perspective, now the ball is in my court to help promote the show, the episode, and share it with my network. So okay. I think we're in alignment.
Okay, Nishant. So what is your final word?
I think my final word is, part of the reason we named the company Just Launch is one of the things that a lot of people keeps people from success is taking that first step. And as whether you're in sales, whether it's some other vision, goal, dream that you want to do, whether you're a business owner or want to be a business owner, it's about launching yourself forward and just taking that first step and starting down your path. And once you're on that path, keep going, but you have to take that first step. And as long as you keep pushing, as long as you keep going forward, you'll ultimately find that you're making progress towards where you want to go. And so drop the fear, right? Let go of the what ifs of failure, and just launch yourself forward, jump in, and then keep pushing.
So thanks, Shawn, for coming in our show. Your story is very amazing. I learned a lot of things, like you believe in process as well as outcome, and you read book How to Win Friends and Influence People. I already have read that book dozens of times. I loved it. And I want to say your smile is very beautiful. Like when you speak, that is amazing. And I love it. And you tell things very amazing manner, like in detail. You whenever you say anything, you talk with very depth knowledge. So I loved it.